Today on the bench have a Pioneer CT F500. Assuming it's going to need a belt replacement and general service, I've ordered a kit, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But before I get into disassembly, all that kind of stuff, I want to power this on and see what it does. Kind of get its initial operating state. So, looks like lights work. Pop a tape in. Let's see. Nothing on play. Nothing on rewind. Nothing on fast forward. So, looks like the lights come on, and that's it. So I'm going to pop the top on it and see what's going on, and then assuming the motor's running, or we can get the motor working if it's not running, we'll replace the belts. So this appears to have the belts intact. They're not melted or goopy or anything like that. So let's see what's going on with this motor. Let me turn it on. Nothing. Oh yeah, that motor. This motor feels like it is that motor looks, oh, see, now it's starting to go. So it's playing and it's fast forwarding. Rewind. It's not rewinding. So I think what probably has to happen, I'm going to pull this motor, take it apart, clean it, service it, then we'll get to the, we will change the belts out. So I mentioned I wanted to talk about the belt kit that I'm going to use. I use belt kits from a website called WJO Radio. The cool thing about those belt kits is they'll basically come with everything you need. Everything is marked. I don't get anything from WJO, right? So you get all the belts. Everything is in its own separate bag, and you get CAD diagrams of exactly what needs to be removed as you work through changing the belts and the idlers, which is super handy. Makes it really easy to do this. So if you're thinking about doing this, WJO Radio is definitely the way to go. All right, so I'm going to work on this motor first, and we'll go from there. So what's going on here is these screws that hold the motor in place, and maybe I don't have to remove those. These are real soft metal, really easy to strip those out. You have to have a screwdriver that fits that exactly, that will give you enough kind of torque to break them free, and this is the only one I have that fits this without stripping it out. So I'm going to have to use some vice grips, and I know I'm going to mar the screws a little bit, but that's probably the only way I'm going to get those loose enough to where I can take them out. So next step is to remove the wires coming off of the motor. So I want to mark which side is black, which side is white. My desoldering tool is warming up over here, the soldering gun. That warms up pretty quickly. So I'll remove the two wires and then break this motor apart, get into the inside and clean it. It's yeah, there's like resistance, a little bit more than should be there, so clean that up with some contact cleaner and see if that helps any. So on this on this motor, going to remove this ground wire. I assume it's a ground wire. Remove this ground wire, take the pulley off, slide the back of the motor out, and then clean and lube the inside of the motor. Almost looks like, oh, maybe not. Looks like maybe someone had tried to open that before, but it doesn't look like it. So, so that's what we're going to do next. So I just realized I wasn't recording there, but what I did was, so the motor, this is down in this case here, and the motor sits on top, and it's just clipped in place by a couple of these little tabs, and I marked on the plastic and on the metal to realign it. There's a little tiny washer in here that you want to make sure you don't lose. It sits like that. So I'm going to grab some contact cleaner. You can see it's not super dirty, but there is a little bit of carbon on the arms there, so we'll clean it off with some contact cleaner, lube the motor, and pop it back in. So I got it to a point where I'm not getting any carbon off of those arms anymore, and cleaned off kind of any carbon or residue off of the moving parts. And I'm going to tape some super lightweight oil and carefully kind of lube a couple of spots, and I don't want to get oil all over everything, so got to be really careful with dropping the lube in there. Just a drop it there, and then drop Drop in there in that ring. Putting this back in can be a little tricky because you have the magnets that you have to worry about. And then line it up on this side. Snap it in place. To me, that feels better. Put this pulley back in position. I need to tack that little ground wire back down. So solder this back into position. And I may have to get a clip to kind of hold that in place while I do that. So evidently that I can't get that to tack back down into position. They must have used some kind of adhesive, so I've just had to run some electrical tape to hold that ground wire in position. So now we've got to, so there are holes where we're going to be screwing this in. And we have to make sure that kind of get this aligned on the inside. And get this straight. And pop the motor in. And that looks good. There we go. Yeah, that feels better than it did. Put this back in, put this cap back on. Speed this up while I'm fighting with this thing. So motor's been serviced. Get some of the stuff out of the way. I'm going to pop it back in. And we'll see what that motor does now. I guess I could test that with a 9-volt battery, but this was pretty easy to get in and out of here, so I won't worry about doing that. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to move camera back up top while I put this back together. The motor has been reassembled, put back on the bracket. To replace the belts, there's a screw here, a screw here, two screws here. I think that's what I have to pull on this. I could always look at the instructions that I paid for from WJO Radio, which would probably make the most sense, but you know, let's just kind of wing it and see what happens. That wasn't too bad. One thing to keep in mind when you remove the flywheel is that you saw me pull that little washer out of the front. So there's a washer that actually sits on the other side of this shaft, right? And this butts up against the pinch roller. So that washer will slide out and you'll have to remember to put that back in. So I've got the flywheel removed. I will put a little tiny bit of oil on that when I put it back in. Now I've got to replace these belts. I'm not sure if I can get to this one from the front or not. This is the tape counter belt. Yeah, I may have to slide this assembly back to get to that one. There's another belt right here as well. So I may have to go into the instructions to pull this apart. Anyway. Door out of there. Okay, I'm going to speed this up while I figure out what's going on here. So I had to remove a couple of screws from the front, pull this little record actuator lever to get that out of the way. So now we're on to replacing some of these belts. So two of the belts are behind, you can't see it, behind this metal faceplate here. Couple of screws to remove that to get it out of the way. Then I can get to those belts. At least that's the plan. So this is a really good example of, you know, customers will come into the shop sometimes. I think it just needs a belt, or I think it needs new belts. That's pretty easy, right? Nope, it's not pretty easy. It's a time-consuming fix. Because if it was easy, you probably wouldn't be bringing it to me to fix. Right? So there's the counter belt. I can see the other belt behind there. I think I can remove it from this side and pull it through. Yeah, I can get that. wasn't too bad. Oops, caught on something. Oh no, there is. There is something that I'll have to disassemble to get to that belt. That belt would just come right off, but it doesn't look like it will. So there's a belt that is on the spool here that is draped over a little post that a screw goes into. So I've got to figure out how to get that screw out of there. I may have to take this off if I can remove the screws, but the screws are kind of hidden, so yep. Yes, probably just a couple belts, right? Just super easy, just a couple belts. So I've got this tore apart pretty good. The belt I'm trying to replace, the W-Joe instructions, they basically at this point say you're on your own if you want to replace this belt. So I'm not sure how much farther I want to go into it, because it's going to require like major surgery. And so what it is the belt, this belt here, goes around this pulley, goes around a pulley on the inside. It loops over the shaft that this arm is on. Oh, you know what, maybe I can just pass it over it. Oh, I think I can. But there's a clip on the inside, so basically this whole thing would have to come apart. I mean, totally disassembled. So I think, though, that I can remove the belt by fishing it around. Oh wait, maybe not. No, it's... Oh my gosh, there's so many parts, so many parts and pieces. Problem is I can't see everything. Oh, I think I can remove it. Let's give this a try. Try that. Pull this up here. That gets me to where still around. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. This might not be worth pursuing. I may just get to the belts that I can get to and call this one good. I mean, the belt is in good shape. It's not dry or anything like that, but Problem is I can't see, if I remove this, I can't see what else I might have to remove down the line. Maybe I can luck out and pull this through down here. Oh, maybe. It's going to catch on anything and everything that it can too. I may have it. Or I may have just twisted it into a knot. That's worse than it was. Sorry if my big head's getting in the way. Nope, I just keep, well, no, it's locked into, yeah, it's locked in there. This has to be disassembled to get that out. There's no, I don't see any way around it. Because this is locked and this is locked, so maybe removing this would do it, and that is attached to 15 other things. So yep, I don't see any way to get that, but I'm gonna look at it a little more closely. Yeah, I think I'm just going to put this belt back into the position it was in, because that's a pretty complex mechanism that yeah, that would require a lot of disassembly. So now I just got to figure out how to fish this belt back around, pulley where it was, and kind of go from there. Well, I can be pretty stubborn, so I decided to keep going. And so here's the dilemma. I have to remove this belt, right, and replace it, and it's kind of locked into position on the arm. So what I need to do is remove the C-clip from this arm here carefully and not lose it, and then slide that forward and replace the belt. Okay, so I slid that forward. I'm gonna just set that back in position while I grab the belt for that one. Got to fish it around all these idlers and springs and all that good stuff, and then I got to slide this arm back off, place the belt over the post, put the arm back into position, stretch the belt over to the other pulley, and the belt is almost. Alright, belt's installed. Boy, what a nightmare that was. Now I've got to put that clip back on without losing it, which is always a trick. What I like to do is magnetic screwdriver to help me get it into position. And then I've done this with plastic bags around them. A couple of different ways to do it. Pray that I don't drop it, because if I do, it goes wherever it wants to go. I can't find my needle nose pliers that I like to use for that. Well, wouldn't you know? I set them somewhere. Oh, here they are. Okay, I'm going in. So try to put that into position like so. Oop, 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 almost lost it, almost lost it. Got to keep a finger on that so it doesn't go flying. Now, I've got to make sure I get everything realigned. I can just about guarantee you that something is going to be out of alignment when I put this back together. All but guarantee. Because there's a lot of stuff going on here. Now it's time for the counter belt. While I have this apart like this, I will pop this on here. And it'll probably slip off as I'm working on stuff, but as long as I kind of get it where it's supposed to be, it shouldn't be too bad. So I'm going to go on to reattaching the faceplate, and then I should be able to work on the belts on the back hand side. So I'm going to put a little bit of light oil on the flywheel. And I need to position before I go too far, let me see. I am going to have to reference just the WJO schematic to make sure I am, yeah, so one belt's going to go around the flywheel over here. This one's going to go to the motor up here. Right, they're the same size belt. And then the flat belt goes on the flywheel as well. If I can get, I need 2 positioned on here. Keep it away from the oil. And I really don't mean to sound like a jerk when I say, like, oh, it's just belt, but you know, it's amazing when you shoot someone a price to do something like this. They're like, how come it's so expensive? Well, it's a very labor-intensive and time-consuming repair. I mean, just a simple belt or a series of belts. And you saw disassembly. And, you know, reassembly, you got to make sure everything is back where it's supposed to go. And, you know, thank goodness for video. If I wasn't shooting video, I would definitely be taking pictures at every step, because it's very easy to forget a screw. You know, wind up with extra screws on the bench. I've done it. Heck, I still do it occasionally. Now that I shoot videos, I just stop, take a look at what I did, and haven't lost one for a while. These dental picks are awesome to use for pulling these belts into position. So that belt is on. This belt I'm going to leave hanging here. The washer that I previously had mentioned should go on the front right now while I'm thinking about it. And they are clear, and they are hard to find on my bench, but there it is. So slide it into position. And that's on. It didn't click in place. That was just something moved down here. Now I've got to put the rear bracket back on the back of the flywheel, and I need to make sure that everything here is aligned to where it's supposed to go. So there's a little tiny plastic piece here that's going to touch the end of that flywheel to kind of give you an alignment location. And then on the side of the bracket there are two, let me show you. There are 2 posts. 1, 2. So they help you align it on the side as well. So let me get, should be 2 of these. Oh, that's not that screw. So you can kind of see I try to keep everything separate. But I'm like, hey, that screw doesn't fit there. So these must be tiny, tiny screws. Yeah, these are small screws, so it must be one of these. There we go. So that's in position, but you know what I forgot? I forgot that other belt. Oh, no, because that other belt goes, it doesn't go on this, so that was right. Come on now. We're getting there. We're almost to the point where we can test that motor. I think the motor will be okay. Not, we have some parts, CT F500s that we can pull from that are in pretty rough shape. All right, so I'm gonna speed through reassembling this, and yeah, and then we'll test it out. So one thing I will say is that this belt's kind of loose here, and I want to check out the motor real quick. It looks like maybe the motor shifted when I put the cover back on, or the case, or when I put it inside the case, I should say. So let's look at that to make sure. Yeah, see where it's not sitting in there straight. Oh, I guess that's just how it is. All right. I guess it was nothing. Got the assembly back in, got all the belts put in there. Got a couple of screws on the front just to secure the transport. Make sure I get these in there. Then we're going to fire it up and test it out. So there's 1 and 2. We're not going in? Oh. That's the wrong screw. Need one of these. So now's the time to fire it up. Grab my sacrificial test cassette tape. Feels like it's going into position the way it should. Let me flip it up so you can see what happens. You know what? Maybe I should pop this face on so we know what's going on here. And then these 2 screws go underneath here. But let's see what happens. Power. Play. Fast forward. Counter. No rewind. See what's going on with rewind. It's spinning. I'm going to fast forward a little way, see if that rewind will engage. The only thing I can think of is, so when I had it disassembled, there are these pincher pads that come down, and they sit around the supply reel, I guess is what it would be called here. So if I maybe tighten those too much, which I possibly did, I may have to loosen that screw that holds those in position so they release. And I think I can do that without major disassembly. So let's see what. So I'll show you the little pinchers I'm referring to. So here, I can't really see it. I can get it a little bit, sorry. Put my glasses on. I can see what I'm looking at. So around this take-up reel right here, there are these little pincher arms. See that little arm come in? They're spring-loaded. And I think what I did was, when I put this back in, yeah, I think I just tightened it too much. So I'll just kind of snug that in there. Because if that's too tight, well, if it's too loose, then there's not enough back tension, so you'll actually eat tape. If it's too tight, then you may not be able to rewind or play. So you've got to get it kind of just right. So I want to test this with that loosened up just a little bit, and we'll see what happens. So let's see what that got us. First, something doesn't look quite aligned in there. So let me see what's going on with this first. And that's going to fall in the worst possible spot. You know, I don't know if I have that faceplate in there straight. Oh, we gotta take this off again. When I looked at the faceplate, it looked a little crooked, so I think possibly on this right side I did not actually get it screwed in. I don't know why this thing feels like it's just locked in there, man. Yeah, I did not get that one lined up right, so there we go. So that is now aligned. And before I go too far, I'm going to just put one screw in here. Secure the transport. And then we'll fire it up and see what happens. Much better. Now that looks straight. So first function test without a tape in. Power this puppy on. Let's see. Yep, good torque on it too, so hopefully, with any luck, let's see. Man. All right, there we go. I'm going to let this just rewind. It's going fast now, full speed. I may have to tweak that again. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to keep doing that on camera though. Because it's rewinding like great right now. Even when I stop it and start it, it rewinds just fine. I don't know if I mentioned this, and if I did, I apologize. I don't know if you saw that I actually put the old belt back on, because the old belt was actually tighter than the new one. So I'll just throw this in my belt bucket and use it later. So fast forward is great. Rewind is still, yeah, rewind when it's sitting on the bench works, but rewind when it's upright doesn't seem to want to work, because now it's spinning just fine. Plus this tape is really, this is a really ratty tape. Yeah, now it's going just fine. As you can see, it's going just fine. Time for a sound check. And I'm going to rewind and fast forward this several times. And again, if I have to adjust, the tension on those felt pads again, I will. Let's get this to auxiliary. I want to see if I get sound in meters. Looks like this is play. Well, I get sound, but I'm only getting, and I think the speed needs to be adjusted, but this right meter is not moving at all. So we're going to have to see what's going on with that right meter, but I'm going to say that the fast forward, rewind is good, play is good, sound out of both channels. Got to see what's going on with this meter. I'm going to take a minute to describe the view meter test that I do just to see if the meters are working or not. So on the leads on the back of the meter, or actually on the post on the back of the meter, take your test leads, and I have my multimeter set for, let's see, get my multimeter set for diode test. And I'm not really going to look to see what my meter reading is. I'm going to just see if I can get that meter to jump. So I'll take the, in this case, the black lead, and this is from a Pioneer CT F500 maybe, or 700, something like that. So I'm going to take the, in this case, the black lead, go to that black and white wire for this meter, and then I'm going to take the red lead, and I'm going to touch this post here, and we should see the meter jump. Right, so I'm going to see if I can get this to where I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to just touch that with the red meter with the red lead and see how it jumps, right? So that means that the meter is at least responding, right? So if you have a VU meter, you want to test just to see if it's going to respond to, right, some sort of electrical pulse. That's at least how I test them. I'm going to see if I can test the multimeter, I mean the VU meter with my multimeter. And the way I'm going to do that, I did just kind of show you how I did it on a meter that's been removed from a unit before. So I'm going to take the multimeter black lead, and I'm going to try to get this on camera, clip it to the black wire on the meter, and then I'm going to flip this up, and I'm going to take the red lead and I'm just going to touch the kind of the blue post, if I can do this, and then we're going to see if that jumps. Then we'll go into looking at the actual circuit. All right, let's see what happens. And I'm getting nothing. And just to make sure I got the right lead going to the right post, let me try it with everything reversed. And I get nothing. So it should, if that meter was working, it should jump like that. See how it's moving? Right, see how that one was moving when I hit the lead? In fact, I'll do it with these reversed so you can see it jump across. But watch that meter. Watch that left meter jump. Sorry, I'm trying to, man, this is so tough. See it jump? So that meter appears to be good. This meter appears to be bad. Right? I'm touching that post and the meter's not moving at all. So what that means is I need to order a new VU meter. Luckily these are readily available on eBay. So I'm going to order that, and once it gets in, we'll pick this back up. Replacement meters are in. So what I'm going to do, I'm just replacing one, the bad one, the one on the right. So the way the meter will come out is, I believe, I remove these two screws, pull this board, and then the meter should snap into place. I'm going to then just desolder the blue wire and the two black wires and resolder them into position. That's what I'm going to do, and then we'll test it, make sure it's working after I'm done. It was a little bit trickier to get that that board with the lamps back in. So let me move this out of the way. And I just want to verify that the meter is working. All right, so we have lights. Still needs to be cleaned up. Forward. All right, we should see sound on both sides. Both sides are working. So that's super awesome. Let's see. Rewind is still super weak on this, and I don't understand why, because I've replaced all the belts. So, but that test cassette that I use is known to stick. So here's another one. I'll put in just a different cassette to check out the rewind, because I may have to look at that a little bit more closely. Now this one rewinds all right. And there it's rewinding fine. So, like I said, that Ozzy Osbourne tape is it's known to stick a little bit when I rewind it. All right, so I think I'm down to cleaning this. I do have a calibration cassette that I'll be using on this. I'm not going to do it on camera because it's really annoying. But so I bought a calibration cassette off of eBay, and I think it's over in my my tool chest. But anyway, it's a 3 kilohertz tone, and I have an app on my phone, kind of a sound spectrum analyzer. And what I do is, oh, I got to realign that. What I do with that test tone is play it, turn on my phone, and then the speed adjustment is on the back of this motor. There's a little tiny rubber opening. You take a flathead screwdriver very carefully, pop it in there, and then you adjust the speed by turning it left to right. And what I do is I watch the spectrum analyzer on my phone, right, and then kind of adjust it to, I go slightly over 3 kilohertz because to my ears that calibration cassette is a little bit off. So I go to like 3050, right, 3050. So anyway, yeah, so I'll put this together, clean it up, and we'll call this one good. I grabbed my calibration cassette, VisionWorks or VisionQuest Works speed calibration cassette, 3 kilohertz tone. Hopefully I said kilohertz, not megahertz earlier. So pop the tape in. Now this is going to be an annoying sound, so you may want to turn this part down if you don't want to hear the whistle right from that tone. The app that I use is called, I think it's like Sound Spectrum Analyzer. So I turn it on. Right now you kind of see there's nothing on the screen. It's on right now. It's not really capturing anything. Here's the 3 kilohertz line right there. So I'll set this here. I've got the screwdriver inserted into the motor because you kind of have to fish it around a little bit. But let's fire this up and see how close we are. All right, so it looks like it's a little fast. So it looks like it's at, oh, basically where I would set it, which is about 3050. But if you can hear that tone changing its pitch, right? So I'm turning the screwdriver. Right there it's on 3000. Again, I go just a little bit higher to about where it was. So that's at about 3025-ish, somewhere around there. So these calibration cassettes, you know, again, if I calibrate it to exactly 3000, I'm trusting that whatever they recorded this on was exact, and to my ears, the cassettes sound better, just a hair faster, so that's what I do. It's much easier to hear a slow speed than it is a fast speed. At least that's been my experience. So I turn it up just a little bit, just make it just a little bit faster, and that's how I calibrate these. So This has been calibrated, it's been cleaned. This knob I need to adjust, but so this one is done. So this one is going into the shop. So if you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe, and until next time.